Alrighty, welcome to Unit 4, Notes 1, factoring out the GCF and factor by grouping. So we're going to do a bunch of grouping and factoring to see if we can get ahead and make things make sense. So remember this. So what we're looking for is you guys to remember how to distribute and how to multiply terms together and things like that. So from Unit 3, we need to know that first one's going to be 12x to the fourth minus 3 times 3 is 9, x squared, 2 and 1 is going to make 3, plus 2 times 3 is 6x squared. And that is going to be our final answer there. So then to do this with the other one, okay, we have 4 times 3 is 12. I would say 3 and 2 make 5, minus 4 times 2 is 8, x to the fourth, minus 1 times anything is going to be that same thing. So you need to understand when we multiply, we add the exponents together. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look for the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factors in these two were the numbers written out front here. Okay, so in this case, the greatest common factor for this line down here is going to be 3x squared. Or the greatest common factor is 4x cubed in this one, because that's the most that they have in common. You can tell in the parentheses, none of this stuff, they all have different exponents. So they didn't have anything else in common until we distributed that number in. So now we're going to work the other way. So greatest common factor, largest factor that can be divided out of each term, may include numbers and variables. So the greatest common factor to determine the GCF, divide the GCF out of each term, and write the expression in factored form. GCF multiplied by the remaining terms grouped together. So we want things divided out now. So let's keep working on this. So I see 12a squared plus 16a. Right? First things I usually look for is the variable. Okay? We have 2 a's in the first one and only 1 in the second one, so I know the first one's going to be a. Now, I'd have an a on the inside plus that. Now, I should know 12 and 14. The base number that goes into 12 and 16 that they have in common is 4. So 4 times 3 is 12, and this is 4. So this is going to be what I would call my final answer. Now, if I distributed it back through, 4 times 3 is 12, a times a is a squared, plus 4 times 4 is 16, and there's an a there. So these match on top and bottom. Okay, the stuff in green is what we did in Unit 3. The black and blue there is what we're going to do in 4. So when I look at this last one, we have a variable in both of them, but they're not common, so I can't take anything out. The 5 is the only thing I can take out. That would leave a 1x here, and then 30 divided by 5 would be 6y. So that's all you need to write for your answer. They have nothing in common in the parentheses. X, y, and 6 have nothing in common. So let's move forward here a little bit. 18, 12, and 9. I know the factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. 1 and 9 don't help me because 12 doesn't go into 9, so it's only 3. All right, I see that every single one has at least one C. I also see that they have one D. So what you could do is you could come up here, you could say 3C, and they all have a D. Divide by 3CD, divide by 3CD. What I would do is I would write my 3CD out here. 18 divided by 3 is going to be 6. C is canceled. 2D minus 1 is going to be D. Plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. D's cancel, and I'd have 1C remaining. C's and D's both cancel there, and I'd have plus 3. So notice, in here, 3 is a prime number, and it doesn't go into 4, so there's not something else I can take out. So the parentheses have to be isolated. I could take a 2 out of the 6 and 4 here, but 2 doesn't go into 3, so there's nothing else I can do. Number 6, right? This is done. 2 x's here, x here, no x's there. So I can't do anything 3, 2, prime numbers. There's no common factors, so you're done there with 6. Right? So you're looking for things that they have in common to take out. So factoring by grouping. So what we have here is factoring is undoing multiplication and distributing. Factoring form is writing an expression as a product of its factors. Some factors may be binomials. So I would say this is really the thing that you got to look for. Okay? It is not just going to be, I think this last one was 3CD. It is not just going to be numbers and letters every time. There will be expressions. So we're factoring expressions as well. So make sure you get those down. So this is what they got for steps of factoring by grouping. Basically, Unit 4 is going to be multiple ways to factor, and these are just some of the steps that we're going to do with grouping in Practice 1. So you're going to group the terms into 2 groups of 2. Divide out the GCF of each group. Check to make sure the leftovers match. Write the leftovers as 1, and then write the GCFs together as the other factors. Alright, what this is going to look like is I have a group here. My group has become x squared and 2x, and then 4 and 8. Okay, what can I divide out? I can divide an x, and that's about it. Here, I could divide a 4 and a 4. Okay, when I go down to my next step here, I'm going to have an x out front, and 2 minus 1 is going to be 1x. X to the first, I'm just going to write x. So x, okay, plus 2. Then this sign is a plus, so I'm going to bring the plus down. I divide it by a 4. So that's going to leave, this 4's cancel out, that's an x. 8 divided by 4 is 2, so plus 2. When they talk about making sure the leftovers match, they're talking about these x's plus 2. So right here, if I go back, group into terms into 2 groups of 2. So that was done for us. Divide out the GCF of each group. So dividing out the GCF was the x in the first one, and then GCF in the second group was 4. So those are 2 GCFs. That's the x and the plus 4. Then 3 is to make sure the leftovers match. That's what x plus 2's match. So we know we did it right, and write the leftovers as one factor. So what this looks like then is going to be x plus 4 together. And then we just need to have 1 x plus 2. Because then when we FOIL or box method, this blue will give us the same as the top. And so Unit 3 is going one way, Unit 4 is working backwards. So let's look at this last one. So I would have grouped these like this. These are my 2 groups. This first group, I think 11 goes into both of them, and I think it's an 11x. Okay, so I'm going to change color again. I'm going to go to blue. Okay, I see that 10 goes into both of these. So then my first GCF is 11x, and I know that that leaves an x minus 3. Then my last one, I see 10 as my GCF, and that's going to leave x minus 3. So then our leftovers are this x minus 3 is the word they're using. And so I'm going to have 11x plus 10 times x minus 3. And this would be my answer. So this is kind of how we're going to move forward doing some of these. 3, I'll use black. I would just, 2 and 5 are primes, so we're out of luck there. 4 and 10, I would say 2. So my GCF in my first one is x. If I take that out, I'm left 2 stays the same. X. X's cancel, so plus 5. Plus my GCF is 2 out here. So 4 and 2 make 2. X is left over. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So x plus 2. Leftovers match again. So if I would have had something like this, if I have 2x plus 2 here, alright, when I do that, I've made a mistake. These leftovers don't match here. Okay? So what I would have done is I would have had to go back, find my mistake. Maybe I just divided by the wrong number. And if I have these leftovers, then I just write it. We're done. Okay, this last one here. Ooh, I got an R cubed. So this is the trick. I actually think this is more fun because I know 8 goes into 64, so I'm going to write 8, and I can take 2 R's out this time. So we'll do it. So the GCF there is 8R squared. So this 8 cancels, and then 3 minus 2 is going to be 1 R left. Minus R squareds cancel. 64 divided by 8 is 8. Plus, I didn't even write anything here because they don't have a GCF. It's 1. Okay, so you should write that 1 to help you not get confused. But I can see R minus 8 and R minus 8 are there. So my final answer, the expressions that are the answer, is this plus 1 here. A lot of students will just write 8R squared. Make sure you write plus 1. And then you have R minus 8. So a couple different expressions there. Sweet. Last one. I'm excited as well as you. So I got these. I'm going to try green here. I would say 2v squared. 2v squared. So I'm going to have 2v squared. Then I'm going to have 6 divided by 2 is 3 and a v left over. Minus 16 divided by 2 is 8 and nothing. 21 and 56. I'm thinking just 7 because that's going to be plus. I bring my sign down 7. This will be 3v minus 8. So what do I have? 2v squared plus 7. And then 3v minus 8. So that's factoring by grouping. Okay, so we need to be able to do that. Now this last one. It's kind of like the one that's on your test, so you might want to pay attention. 40 AC squared plus 25 AK squared. So I said A, so I know I can take an A out. 40 and 25, I know the biggest common thing. 25 only has a 5. So that's going to work there. 32 BC squared and 20 BK squared. So notice I said them out loud just to realize they both have a B. C squared and K squared doesn't work. 32, well, let's do 20. 1, 2, 10, 5, and 4. I'm going to go 4 and 4. Might be doing this wrong. Who cares? All right, so GCF 5A. Then it's going to be 8. All right, A's canceled, C squared, plus 5, A's canceled, K squared, plus 4B. All right, B's cancel, that's going to be 8C squared plus 20 divided by 4 is 5K squared. So it's hard to see, but my middles and leftovers match, so I can write 5A plus 4B, okay, and then it's going to be AC squared plus 5K squared. Bam. All right, hopefully that's the end of the notes video, because I'm going to stop talking. All right, that last one, that number 6, where there's 4 different variables, there's an A, a B, a C, and a K, right? That is one that's on your quiz. Is a 4 variable or 4-letter problem, however you want to think of it. So make sure you know how to keep that separate. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.